If you have a child growing up and he wants to live in, or she wants to live in a fairy tale land, and you let the child do it, then you'll live to regret it, because the child will never be interested in being honest with people or honest with himself or herself. See? If the person is not trying to logically work this out, but trying to take and force their mental picture onto somebody else, then they have to be the one that will see the foolishness of it. My advice in the little pamphlet is to meditate upon your troubles, not upon your pleasure. And people meditate. I used to see fellows that take acid or something and sit and meditate, and they'd be happy, real happy. And I think they were dialing heaven. You know, they were getting in there, another pill, and they'd be one of the archangels. And this is an exaggeration, of course, about what almost everybody does in meditation. They want to relax. They come home from work, perhaps, and they want to go into a posture and relax and think of niceness. No, what's holding up your personality and your life is the negative things that's happened to you. And there's a lot of stuff written on meditation. That's the reason I wrote that pamphlet, is because it's not good sense. It's not good sense to meditate on pleasure if you want to know who you are. And after you correct yourself, you'll say, hey, I'm not as important as I thought I was. If you were studying with me, I would tell you how I thought you could do things that would expedite. And some of them have to do with the loss of energy, not to lose any energy. You need all of your energy to do this. You're going to walk through death, so you'll need some vitality. And there are things. The other thing is the truth. And I'm not saying that you have to be a fanatic and tell every policeman when you're doing 1 mile over the speed limit. See, that type of truth is not what we're talking about. We're talking about trying to find the reality behind life. What is this? Are we just animals moping around giving ourselves sensational ideas of life after death and sensational promises and sensational hopes and saying all we have to do is believe? Believe isn't it. You got to know. You got to know what you can do. My case will not be your case. Everybody, I can't say, stand on your head 2 hours a day, eat marmalade or drink cider or that sort of thing, and you're going to, don't eat meat, don't kill any little animals. That has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it at all. But you will devise a system for yourself that will be accurate, just by backing away from the foolish, backing away from the things that distract you. And so consequently, I think that this is what a person has to do if they want to do anything with their mind, is to work. Don't say, hey, I'm going to go in there. I've had people say this to me. I'm going to give this 1 year, and if I'm not enlightened in a year's time, I'm leaving. And some of them did. You can't do that. It's almost like let's take the possibility that there's a deity listening, and he says that guy isn't fighting. I don't want him. See, something of that sort. But that's a conclusion you can draw, that there's a force that he runs contrary to. The thing is, you fight without any promise. You fight for this or death. And if you have that determination, I'm sure that you can make it. This is a shot in the dark. This lecture is a shot in the dark. I know about Zen. I've experienced things in it. And perhaps there's a lot of books on Zen, but there's stuff you don't get from the books, and that's the action. And so I'm just furnishing information, that's all. I can't, it doesn't mean give you the minute by minute or day by day methods of things, but the truth of the matter is I don't think I believe that there's a very small percentage of people that's interested. I think religion is easy, but a real struggle with yourself to reach a thing by yourself, it's very difficult. So there's a very small percentage of the people, but So I'm not disappointed if people don't. What it is, there's to do anything spiritual, in the spiritual sense, immediately causes antagonism. And that's the animal body. It's fighting back. Don't block me. Don't block the animal body saying, hey, that may not be true, or, we can do this and that too. See? Yeah, so it's, I've realized that occasionally somebody comes along and says, I know what you're talking about, and that's the reward. So I'm not disappointed if I don't get people that say they know what I'm talking about. It'd be nice, but that's the first truth I have to live with. See? I think it's a very good idea to instill children with religion, and a religion that talks of guilt. Make them feel guilty, necessary. Make them feel like they're going to hell or they're going to die or whatever is necessary. But keep them celibate until they're 17, 15 years old, maybe 15. Say, hey, bud, I've been lying to you for your own good. This isn't true, but you've got control of yourself. You're okay. Then you're going to run the show. You're not going to be the one that's abused. You're not going to be devoured. But the whole psychology system is wrong. It's improperly defined. See, half the stuff that comes into your head comes in from outside intelligences. Maybe it gets to the point where 90% of the stuff comes in, and when 90% gets in there, that guy that entity takes your body and does with it as he pleases, until they put you in the electric chair or something for mass raping a bunch of kids or something. So our thoughts are not our own. A lot of people think, I'm an unusual phenomena. I'm a human being with thoughts. We don't have thoughts. They have us. And you'll know when you've been used. Something used you. It wasn't another human being. Another human being was there, so you might have, I was talking to John Kent out in California, and in a letter, I wrote a letter to answer his letter, and he's the guy who wrote this book that we're talking about, a 500-page book. And I said, these guys are trying to write about me, like they're doing it now. They're trying to get something there that ain't there. They're trying to get something that isn't there, is what I should have said. They're going to put something there, and that isn't me, see. And I said, do you want a clear view of me? And that's what the public should have. You got a clear view. I'm a guy at 17 years of age trying to commit suicide. I committed suicide to come out of it. The doctor said he won't live. I had enough strychnine in me to kill a horse. It was their verdict. I pulled out of it. And the reason for all that was because I couldn't tell a whore from an angel. I thought she was an angel. Here I turned out to be a whore. And I thought, my judgment is that bad. I'm going to take my trip. The hell with it. I don't live on this planet. So I went and I found there was strychnine. I went and took it all. See? Well, I survived. So then I go out to Seattle. 30 years later, 20 years later, I don't know what it was. About 13 years later. And I found another girl, and I fell in love with her. Not fell in love with her. I fell in love with her money. But anyhow, I couldn't, in this situation, I thought I knew all about women. I didn't, because I couldn't tell a whore from a lesbian. See? She was both. And I'm going to marry her. But I stumbled across her lover. Imagine this, see? So there was no poison to take. I looked around, the bridges weren't too high, and the water was shallow. I didn't think I could... but I had an experience. Now, this is the irony of it. No blissful. I didn't pray for 10 days fast or anything like that. And I went home one night, and I was thinking about quitting my job. I said, held on to it a little longer. But I went home, sat down on the bed. Next thing you know, I had a pain in the top of my head, and that was it. But I like he was talking about these experiences. I knew when I went out in this broad daylight. When I went out a window and I could see the city I can see the streets. I can see the people on the streets. But I'm carefree. So I look up in Seattle, you can see the Cascade Mountain Range and the snow on them all the time. See, I thought, boy, there's where I'm going, and that's where I went. But when I got there, the snow wasn't there. See, I got into another dimension, and that was the whole thing. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, a lot of people think you have to be a saint. A saint is a crazy adjective. I don't know what the hell it means. You don't know the means by which you're going to break through. You don't know what will really happen. See? And but of course you do. You try to keep your head clear so that when it happens, you'll be responsible. Because if you go nuts before you have the experience, nobody's going to believe you. And of course, my drive always had been, if I can ever find out anything, I want to let people know. I want to get the details on how to get there and let people know, because so few people ever get beyond the animal stage of just vegetating and then dropping off. See?